Today's October 29th. It's the 50th anniversary of the death of Duane Allman, one of my favorite guitarists for the Allman Brothers. Every year on this day, I make sure I get out on the Harley and go for a ride. Duane was killed on a Harley-Davidson Sportster in Macon, Georgia. So just got back from a great ride on the bike. I did some work to it. I'm going to show you what I did and talk to you about how I did it. Early morning happenings here. I got my coffee ready to go. I've got the Harley-Davidson Bad Boy redone. I really like the way that it looks. You know, it's a stock bike with mild custom. You know, not a whole lot of custom stuff to it, but I like to change things around. One of the things I'm going to try and do is change the front wheel. The Bad Boy came with a 21-inch front wheel. I have here a 23-inch front wheel. This is, you know, really for a Harley-Davidson bagger, like a road glide or a street glide. You can see it's considerably taller than the 21. I think it'll really fill up this space. You know, this Bad Boy came with a little front fender, and a little bit takes up the space between the frame and the wheel and the springer. One of the things the larger diameter wheels have done is brought the Ed Roth cartoon style to life. You know, if you see the Ed Roth drawings from the 60s and 70s, you know, everything was crazy out of proportion. A lot of it had to do with the wheels, the size of the wheels. And the large diameter wheels allow you to actually do that in real life, and it's one of the things I like about it. So I'm going to try and see if I can make this wheel fit on this bike. There's a bunch of things that can become stumbling blocks for me. You know, this is for a road glide or a street glide. It's for a dual disc, so it's got a dual disc flange on it. I think the brake spacing from the center of the rim might be out real far. I'm probably going to have to machine this flange down on my lathe to make it work. This is for a 1-inch axle. The Bad Boy has a 3/4-inch axle. I'm gonna have to machine a sleeve. So there's a lot of things that have to happen here for me to make this work. And then I may not like the way it looks. Another issue is that this wheel is considerably taller than the 21. So I'm gonna have to lower the springer so that I'm not bulldogging. I've got a set of Burley springs. Burley makes a set of springs that will lower the springer for me. The Burley kit should lower the front of the bike about 1.5 inches. This wheel's probably 2.5 inches taller than the other wheel. So I'm still gonna get a little bit of front end rise, but as long as it's not too much, I should be happy with it. I measured the 23-inch wheel and the 21-inch wheel. The 21-inch wheel is 27 inches in diameter. The 23-inch wheel is 29 inches in diameter at the tire. So when I put the 23-inch wheel on, it's gonna raise the bike by 1 inch. Because of the 2-inch difference in diameter. But the Burley springs lower the bike 1.5 inches. So once I put the 23 on, it'll raise the bike by 1 inch. But once I put the lowered spring kit on, it'll lower the bike actually 1/2 inch from where it is now. So I'm gonna get the look of the bigger wheel filling all this space, which I think is really gonna help the way this bike looks. Should really make it ride better too. And also lower the ride height of the bike in the front by 1/2 inch, which is not a lot, but I think it's gonna really give it a great stance. If I wasn't able to keep the ride height close to where it is now, I wouldn't want to put that 23-inch wheel on the front. It has shorter springs in the bottom, the longer springs in the top. And when you shorten these springs, it's going to raise this rocker up, which is going to drop the front of the bike. I'm going to go ahead and pop this 21-inch front wheel off. Before I lower the springer, I'm going to put the 23-inch wheel on it just to see how it looks, to make sure. I think I like the way that it looks. It might look horrible, and you know, it's one of the things. It's kind of trial and error thing. Maybe I'll love it, maybe I won't. I'm going to put it on if I can make it fit. Give it a go and see what happens. All right, 21 out. I'm going to go ahead and roll this 23 in here without the brake. You know, I'm not going to install that stuff right now just because I'm just going for the appearance of this to see how it works. You get a good idea from this angle how much of a difference the 23-inch wheel makes. You know, the 21-inch wheels look good in a stock length Harley Springer, the earlier Springers, which are 4 or 5 inches shorter than this, but once you go to the longer late model Springer, the 21 looks kind of small. I think that 23 really fills the space up well and makes the bike, kind of gives it a little bit of a modern touch. The black and silver contrast cut goes great with all the bad boy black and chrome, black and silver appointments. It's kind of hard to see them in the shop here, but I'm gonna go ahead and put this whole thing together, lower the Springer, and get it ready to ride and take it outside. And I think from a distance outside, you'll really be able to see the difference that it makes having that 23 on the front versus the 21. They tell you how dangerous this is and how spring-loaded these are. What I always do is push down my impact as I release it, and I block the spring and everything with my forearm so that if something does come off, it's not gonna hit me in the face. You can see by the length of the spring that I took off that the one that's still under is loaded pretty hard. Okay, so front Springer leg off. I just get these rebound damper cups out, and I'll lay the Burley spring down here, and you can see how much shorter the Burley spring is than the Harley-Davidson spring. This is what's gonna lower the bike. You're gonna put the shorter spring on the bottom, which is gonna raise the whole front leg up, and which is gonna raise the rocker. And then on the top, you're gonna put the spacer to move the rebound spring up. That's gonna go underneath the rebound spring on the top, and that's how you lower the bike. It's a real simple, ingenious idea. Wish I'd thought of it. I get this thing back together, and I got a lowered Harley-Davidson bad boy. Okay, now there's a special tool that Burley will sell you to reinstall this the easy way. I didn't buy it because I have the ability to make anything I want, so I usually make a tool or just figure out an easy way to do it. So I just go ahead and fasten this up here for a second. And what I always do is I always reconnect the rockers to the front leg before I go ahead and try and put the top springs on. You can use the weight of the bike to compress these lower springs and give you a lot more rod length on the top to get these rebound springs back on. It makes it just a lot easier. It's the way I've always done it without the specialty tool. I'm working on the floor for a reason. That reason is to show you that you can do this at home. You don't have to have a motorcycle lift. You don't have to have a full motorcycle shop, a lot of specialty tools. That's part of the reason I'm showing you the way I do it, because this is the way I did it when I was younger and got started. And yeah, I have motorcycle lifts and I have the ability to make all these specialty tools, but you know, I still do it. All the lifts in my shop are spoken for right now. Red Loctite, by the way. And so instead of me pulling something off and taking an hour to get ready to do a job like this, I just jump into the job and do it kind of the way you would do it at home. I'm gonna go ahead and roll that wheel in here now and use the weight of the bike, like I was saying, to compress these springs, to do some of the work for me. You see I'm getting a little bit of hand compression there, but I need a lot more. Watch how the weight of the bike compresses those lower springs as I drop this jack. To finish off, you go ahead and put these spacers in. You put these rebound spring spacers on. Then the rebound springs have to go on. I mentioned that I have some tricks I use instead of having specialty tools to compress the Springer. One of them is I use a long pry bar up against the Springer rockers. I can just lift on it and you can see how it flexes the Springer. I just put a V block, or you can put a wood block or anything underneath the pry bar. And now it's got my Springer cranked up pretty good, and I can go ahead and get those top nuts on without having to have a specialty tool. When I was young, I didn't have any money. I couldn't afford specialty tools. I figured out how to get stuff done. This is just one of those things. Put the equalizer bar back on. Jam it down with the jam nuts. Old Mac Tools wrench from Monster Garage, set 20 years ago. The 1-inch frame tubing I'm using isn't exactly 1 inch, it's oversized, a little over 1 inch, and it's not perfectly round, so I'm putting it round in the lathe with the auto feed so that it'll slide inside my bearing and give me good support. This is the axle sleeve I made. This is a piece of 1 inch diameter mild steel tubing with 1/8 inch wall thickness. So that 1/8 inch on each side makes up the 1/4 inch difference between the 3/4 inch axle and the 1 inch wheel bearings. So this will slip right inside the wheel bearings and fit on the bad boy axle. And I just turned it, machined it here on my lathe. Took me a few minutes and we're ready to roll. There's the 3/4 inch axle inside the 1 inch bearing. But then you slip the axle in the sleeve I made, in the sleeve, in the wheel. Now you've got the right fit. It's almost Halloween. You can see all the trees are just starting to turn fall colors up here in Tennessee. It's about 50 degrees outside. It's raining, but I got the 23 on the front of the bad boy. I want to take it out for a run. So rides really good with it. You have a lot more rubber on the road up front, which, you know, really makes it stop better, makes it handle better. I think it looks awesome. It doesn't really, you know, it still corners really, really good. The bad boy just handles so much better than the Heritage Springer with the bigger front wheel on it. So I'm really happy with it. Thought I'd take it out, bring you along with me, let you see how she looks, how she sounds, how she rides. Everything's good. That was a success.